What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Slithering Salamanderscapes. I hope your summer is off to a great start. I have a new build that we'll be working on, and it will be for some Eastern newts. And you ask, don't you already have some Eastern newts? I do. They're right in here. This is my enclosure. I actually have pretty much no room to very limited room, so I actually have an abundance of enclosures that I've built with just no homes for. So I'll probably be either giving them away to friends or selling them, but that's another matter. But what I want to talk about today is that someone reached out to me to build an Eastern newt enclosure. They had seen the video that I did for this one and they wanted something similar. Typically I don't do this, but the person has some Fs and I know they're going into the adult phase and they really wanted something that would have some water and a good habitat. And so I'm gonna build an enclosure and I hope they like it. I'm gonna try to make it awesome. I'm going to be utilizing a 20-gallon long because there's only gonna be a few newts. So a 20-gallon long is about 30 inches or so, maybe 29, I can't remember offhand, don't quote me, long, and it's about a foot in depth and a foot in height. But I believe that that is a ample room for several newts. So I think that the space is good. The question for me will be how I design it for them. And I think what I'm gonna do is do what I typically do, which is drilling, for bulkheads and things like that. But I wanna have a couple of areas where the water can get aerated naturally, not through air stones, but also have an area where the water's a little bit calmer too. So it's gonna be a little challenging because I wanna make this really good for this person and really have a great habitat and biome set up for these animals. But at the same time, you're working with limited space. So excited to do it. I think it's going to be a really good one. It's going to be fun, and appreciate you guys tuning in. And let's get started with the first
begin here. This is spiderwood. I had to go find pieces at various pet stores and tropical fish places because you never know what you're going to get online. I ordered some and I didn't really like it, but I'm going to use it anyways. But I went out and find some cool pieces. Also using a lot of rock. Just want to give you guys a heads up. I know this is really weak, but I lost a ton of footage from this build, so it's going to be really jumpy and shorter than normal, so I apologize in advance. This was never really meant to be a video. It just was me filming things, and I can't believe I lost it. I'm usually pretty good about that. But as you can see here, jumping around. As you can see, I drilled the back like I normally do, half-inch bulkheads with a diamond bit hole saw. I used some styrofoam to build up a ledge there so I didn't have to use huge rocks and really weigh down the tank. Use the A-crate light diffuser like I usually do on the background before I put on the rocks. I'm using the Great Stuff Pond and Stone as I normally do, the rocks. And as you can see, it looks a little messy, but this is kind of just getting things putting some spiderwood here, just trying to make a really cool area where the water can cascade down. The idea here is that the water will circulate all the way around the tank, which is why I have the bulkheads on opposite sides. So you can see I built up pretty nicely that ledge where the water is going to come down. I did some Reptisoil and some cocoa fiber, pressed it into the silicone in the background after I carved the Great Stuff Pond and Stone. I still need to do this side, as you can see, and it's been a lot easier, luckily, to find the Great Stuff Pond and Stone because I know it was tough for a while, but I bought a ton of it, so I'm in good shape. But just working these rocks in like I normally do, trying to make it look as natural as I can in such a enclosed space. But this is pretty typical, as you can see. I'm filling it in. There's spots that I'll have to carve out the black foam still, but it's coming together nicely. On the sides, which I think is important. It's all part of what I do to build the background on the sides and the background. As you can see, that's the intake right there, so that'll suck water in where the water will come from the other side, so it should create a nice loop to circulate the water. Worked in some more spiderwood up there, as you can see, and worked my way down. This is tough because this is a tight space. So there's a decent amount of water area in here, as you can see, but I have noticed my entire life keeping newts. Some people don't have this experience, but they like to be on land a lot. They climb things. A lot of people say, oh, they just want to be in the water. I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I tried to give them a good amount of land and a good amount of water that they're going to be adult newts. As you can see, the water should come out there. It'll look really cool. Can hide some of the bulkheads with plants with the kind of plants this person wants, or moss when they're choosing. Worked in some cork bark as well. I think it's looking pretty good. And really pretty close to being done, as you can see. I mean, I'm going to add some more things. There's, as you can see, there's little spots here and there where there's some of the foam. The part on the inside where you see the 8-crate light diffuser, that's all going to be aquatic substrate, you know, gravel or aqua soil. There'll be some bog plants, I'm guessing, that this person will put in. Here's the bulkheads in the back. I got these from Lifeguard Aquatics, again, 1/2 inch bulkheads. They're threaded. One thing you want to do is always use plumber's tape when you put on the 90-degree elbows that I use. This connects to canister filters, either the vinyl hose that you can buy or to Fluval 207s. As you can see, I just wrapped it around.
A little leak test. That's how I do it. Turn this guy up. Water's obviously going to come out of here, but if there's no water under here dripping from the bulkhead to the elbow, you know, obviously it's going to come out at where my thumb is, but if there's no water coming out, you know it's tight, and it is. And I've been watching it. You don't really need to worry about the return because it's never going to be submerged. It's really the down here, it's the intake. So anyways, if I take my finger off, water will keep coming out until it gets down around that level, but it's pretty good. This is what I do. I usually do these leak tests just to make sure. It also helps when the water gets in, it also helps any uncured foam cure quicker. So looks pretty good. But yeah, it's not rocket science, everyone, but this is how I do it, and it's an important step. So I'm glad it works. I've done a lot of work. I'm glad it's not leaking. Although really, if it's leaking, all you really have to do is get tighten the bulkhead a little bit, and usually that does the trick. I've never really had any leaks with any of these, so good.
So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some of this super glue, this Gorilla Glue, and I'm going to put into some of these areas behind spiderwood and where I can't carve anymore, where you can see the black, great stuff, pond and stone, some damp sphagnum moss, and that will help act as a growing medium for moss, liverworts, roots for plants, whatever it is. Plus it covers things up, it makes it look more natural. So I'm going to go throughout the tank and do this process like I just showed you, and then I will move on to adding some gravel, which will start with a base of gray gravel. This is just fine gray gravel I bought in a fish store. So I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to add some smaller stones that match the other rocks I use, which I think looks really good. It looks really natural. And I'm going to actually add more to cover up some of the great stuff on the bottom. I don't want to tear too much of that out because I want everything to kind of stay secure, so as you can see. So I'm going to add more rocks in that area to cover all that up. And I like it. It's really turning out nice. And as you can see here with the light, I'm not going to plant it or add any of the aquatic substrate. I'm going to let the person who I made this for put in what they like, but I think it turned out really well. It's going to circulate the water around. It looks natural. It's got adequate water for several newts, and it's got adequate land. Put some hides on the land part. It's going to look really good. Room for plants, vines, moss, everything. So really happy with the way this turned out. I'm hoping the person I built it for enjoys it, and I appreciate everyone tuning in, and stay tuned for the next video.